Hello friends, my name is Hasi Bansari from hifigocode.com. Thank you for joining me in this video today. In today's video, we are going to learn more about Keycloak and another application that we will be integrating with the Keycloak SSO login. So this time I have chosen again a Java application which we will deploy on a Wildfly application server, and it will be followed by the same application, but we will deploy it on a Tomcat container. So again, the main focus will be on the configuration side rather than the implementation of the application itself. And the source code will be again available in my GitHub repository. So for the application itself, you can always refer to the GitHub repository, but in this video specific content, I will concentrate more on the integration or the configuration part, that how this application will connect to the Keycloak login. The main point that I want to show also here is like how different technologies like Java, and again in the next videos I'll be having a Go application, a JavaScript application integrating with Keycloak. So yeah, so the main point is like how different technologies connect to Keycloak and how it is possible to secure our application using the Keycloak server. So last time we saw a Hi-Fi Code school application and we connected it to a Keycloak, and we surf through different sections of the departments in that school, and we also authorized some departments with specific roles and specific actors can have access to those departments. So I have extended that application and I have created altogether a new application which is more in the direction of administration of the school. So in this section we have specifically from the employee perspective and from the administration staff perspective, we have time entry section where user can enter his daily times, working times. There is a salary section where the staff can enter the monthly salary of the employee, and a download salary slip section where the user or the employee can download their monthly salary slip. So right now, as you can see, I can go through all the links without any authentication, and also the name over here, the username is hard-coded. So our goal for today's video will be to integrate this application which is deployed on Wildfly server to have a Keycloak login, and I will also go in a bit detail in how we can use a Wildfly server. So this will be also a good opportunity to have basic understanding of how to deploy a Java application in a Wildfly application server. So once again, for this demo or for this video, I will reset everything to a normal application, and then I will get started with the configuration and the deployment stuff. So without wasting any further time, let's get started. So again, we will start with the Keycloak admin console. And as I said in my very first video of the Keycloak, that the number of application equals the number of clients in Keycloak. So I will create, so as it is a new application, I will create a new client in Keycloak, and let's name it as school admin application. So this is a client ID. I will leave the root URL blank and I will click on save. I'll give it a name. So I'll say internal. Description, it is school administration app, and access type I will give it confidential, so we will have the client credential or the secret for this client. So valid redirect URL, once again I will leave it as a star. Web origins also as a star, and all the other URLs, once we have the application, we will fill out this left out blanks or left out fields. So I'll save it. The settings has been saved, and I will then have the credentials field as well as the Keycloak installation JSON format. So right now this is all the configuration we need on the Keycloak side, and then we can jump to our coding section. So here I have created this Maven application. I have used the Maven Quick Start Web App package. So this is my web.xml file, and I have segregated the internal or the private pages like download, salary, and the time as JSP pages. Then I have a common or an internet exposed home page. Then what else? Yeah, the controllers I have set for each page a different controller. So anything on this URL will take me to the time page, the salary page. I have a logout servlet which will make sure to have a global logout with this application. Then the download servlet. So what else do we require here is we need, so in this Wildfly configuration especially, we need to store a file in this directory webinf, and the file name is called as keycloak.json file. So this file is exactly what we saw in our installation format and in the JSON form. So we will just copy this and paste it in our configuration or the file that we created. Yeah. So this will have the real name of the Keycloak, where the Keycloak is located. This is SSL required. The school admin, the name of the client, the credentials, and the confidential port. So this is it from the configuration or to connect Keycloak or to connect this application with the Keycloak, but we would require some more stuff in the web.xml file, because if we compare this application to the Spring Boot application of the last video, we had some security constraints set up, and so the part that we did in the application.properties file in the last video, here we will do it in the web.xml file. So only the representation is changed, but the concept is still the same, that we want to authenticate, we want to authorize some URLs, and that's why this application would need to know the settings. So for the configuration, I will quickly refer to the GitHub repository because I don't want to type everything, but after copying it, I will just quickly explain what it means. So I will just get it here, and that would be the settings that we require for now. So what we are doing here is we are defining security constraints, and if you can relate this to the Spring Boot application, that application also had the security constraint, but it was in the different representation. It was in the application.properties file, but here we have in the XML format, but we are doing the same thing kind of. So we are defining 3 security constraints that I'm marking right now, and each security constraints is having a URL pattern that it wants to authenticate. So this URL patterns is authenticating, this security constraint is authenticating this pattern. This one will authenticate the salary page, and the download page is authenticated by this security constraints. And inside the security constraint itself, so once we have the authentication, we can also have the authorization set up, which is in this auth constraint, and we simply need to give the role that it should have to access this page. So here it means to even after authentication, if someone needs to access this time URL or the pattern, he should have this role name, that is time access. Similarly for the salary, he should have salary access, and the download access for the download page. So this is pretty much straightforward how it is configured here, and this part is just defining the role. So If you want to use the role over here, you need to define it over here as an array or a list of roles. So once it is defined, you can use it in the security constraint element. And this is what the application knows, that the auth method is going through the Keycloak and the adapter or wherever. So in this case, the Wildfly configuration will know that the authentication method that is required in this application is going through the Keycloak server. So the next step would be to deploy this application into the Wildfly application server. And this is pretty much it from the configuration side of this application. So it was not a very lengthy task to do the configuration, but now we will see how we can deploy this application into the Wildfly application server. And for that, we will quickly open or go to the website of the Wildfly. So wildfly.org, and then in the download section, we will download with version 21.0.0.final. So yes, this one, and I will quickly download the full package. And it will take some time. I'll get back once it is done. So the download is now complete, and I have extracted it into this folder. So I'll go quickly here, and it kind of looks the same like how we did with the Keycloak. And this is just because, or the simple reason is, like, Keycloak is also based on the Wildfly application server, and the package itself is the same or similar, and then it is deployed. The Keycloak is deployed as an application into the Wildfly, and we will use the same structure like the standalone format to deploy this application what we saw, but we need one more step to go with, and that is to go to the Keycloak website and go get into the download tab, and we need to download the adapter for the Wildfly. So in this case, we will download the OIDC adapter, so OpenID Connect adapter. There is also SAML, but we are more concentrating on the OpenID Connect, and this is the Wildfly section. So we will quickly download the adapter, and then we should have it in a minute. So I think it's already there. Yeah. So this is the adapter, and it is already extracted. So what we need to do is we need to copy this folders or the adapter contents into the directory of the Wildfly. So on the home directory, I will just paste, and then I will just merge it. I'll apply to all and merge. After pasting the content in this directory, I will quickly open the terminal to this folder. So it is in downloads and Wildfly bin, and here we need to make sure we need to execute this command what I'll do, and this is very important because it will make the Wildfly configuration to connect or to adapt to the Keycloak adapter or the Keycloak domain, what it says. So there are two ways to do it. One is when the server is on, and other is like when the server is on offline, so it's not running. So I always prefer doing it when it is offline, so not on a running server. And to do that, you need to execute as JBOSS CLI.sh file is equals to, so I will quickly take the file name here. So file is equals to, we need to take this file name, adapter install offline. So once you place it over here, and then you can click enter, and let's give it a second. Yeah, So very important is like so there are like 4 steps here. Then the outcome must be success over here. If you see anything other than this message, then there would be something wrong going on with the configuration, and maybe you need to restart again until and unless you find that everything is in success mode. And now once you have this thing, we can directly start our Wildfly application server, which is this, and we will start it on a different port. So -d JBOSS socket binding, and then there comes the port offset, and I will give a port offset of 101, and I click or press enter, and it should start in a few seconds. Meanwhile, I'll go back to my application. So now I have the application built up. I will quickly clean my project and install it so that I can get a war. So I'm basically opting for a war package of my application that I can deploy in my Wildfly application server. So I'll quickly get it from the Finder itself. So this is the project, this is the target folder, and here is my war file. I'll copy the war file, and this is also the step of deploying, and in Wildfly terms it is also called as hot deploy. So as our application is already running, so we can see, yeah, it is running and the admin console is here, and our normal application is running on this port, on this address, and it is running. So what I'll do on a running Wildfly server, I will deploy this war file. So I'll just copy it. I'll get back to the package of the Wildfly, and I have to go to the standalone, and this deployments folder, I have to paste it, and also take a look over here at the end of the log what happens once I paste it over here. So it is deploying, and then we see the message deployed, and there is some changes over here which is happening on the runtime. So it says deployed, and I have the war file deployed. I can reassure with the message here, and it is running on the context path this, and the address is this. So once we have it, I go back to my browser. I'll quickly go here and try to, not on this page but on this one. I refresh, and there's a public home. Then I see the same application. So this one now is, or should be, with the Keycloak integration. So I try to click on time entry section, and I am redirected to the Keycloak, and this is because of the configuration, client configuration that we did on the Keycloak side. And one more thing before checking it, I'll go back to the Keycloak admin console with my root URL of this application, because we mentioned that during the configuration that we will come back and fill the empty fields. So I'll come back here, I'll give the root URL of my application, the base URL I will give it here, the admin URL remains the same as the base URL, and the backchannel logout URL I will keep it like this, and I will save it. And one more important thing is, this application or this client school admin right now is without any roles, so I have to add that. And you can also recollect it from the previous video of the Spring Boot application that we did the same. So we are adding the role, and we have 3 roles for this application. And quickly get back to the web.xml, and these are the 3 roles. So we will copy it as it is and start creating it one by one. So 1 is done, second is the salary access, save, and then comes the third and the last role, which is download access. So yeah, so it's done. And we will be using the same user what we had from the last time. So we are not changing anything except for the role assignments. So this is a totally new application. So even the role mappings will be on a different client. Last time we did all the role mapping on this application called a Spring App, and it is still here. And now we have a totally new application, School Admin, and these are the roles that we just created in the client. For an admin user, I would prefer that he has all access. So I will just select all and just give it to him. Then I'll come back to the users. In the principal, as I also said in my video of the Spring Boot, that I would keep the principal on the top hierarchy, that the principal has all the access of this application and all the applications in this scope. So I will give it all. Then comes the teacher. So teacher, in this video I am thinking of a teacher as an employee who is working in a school, and so she will have some role, or he will have some role in this application. So a teacher can download his or her salary slip, and she can also she should have access to the time, so that they can fill the work timings. But the salary access, I will not give it to the teacher as an employee, because the teacher should not fill his own salary in the monthly record. So I will just give these two roles. I'll come back, and the salary access role I will keep it for the clerk. So a clerk, I assume that someone who is working in the office and he has the task to fill this salary information. So I will just give, and yeah, as a clerk is also an employee, so also he should also download his own salary slip and so on. So I'll give all the roles to a clerk. Now I think it is pretty much everything filled up, or everything is in place. Now it should be good to go. So I'll try to go to the time entry section with the teacher user, who should have access to fill his or her time. And when I say sign in, we shouldn't see this page. So let me quickly check the code once again. So the web.xml file. So we have the time access, and here also we gave the time access. So this looks good. Our configuration in the Keycloak.json file, and so yeah, I think we missed one setting over here, and for this I'll quickly go back to the GitHub page, and in the web app I will have this keycloak.json file, or in the web.inf, and I'm missing this part which says that we are looking for the role inside the client and not the realm role, which we also cleared in the Spring Boot application video, that if we remove the settings, it will map to the realm role instead of the client role, and that is why we are seeing this error. So I will quickly add this part in our code, or in the configuration, and I also remember that I need to uncomment some line from this class. So I was hard coding the part with the hi-fi code, so I can now remove it, because I will get the username now from the Keycloak, and I will uncomment these two lines. I will clean and install my code, and in the same time I will show how we can undeploy an application from the Wildfly server. So undeploy simply means we need to just select these two files and delete it from this location, and in some moment we will see that it is undeployed. And also when we want to redeploy some, so in this case our application war file again, so before doing that, just remove this undeployed file too, and then it will be good to go. So I'll go back and get it again from the target folder, the same war file, and this time again in the standalone folder, deployments, and I'll paste the war file, the new war file. It's deploying and it's deployed. I'll go back to my browser and I'll just close this tab and I will open a new tab with the same location, 8081 and hi-fi code. So I'll rather go from the page of hi-fi code, and I see again the public page, and I'll try to go time entry section. This time when I log in again with the same user, okay, so yeah, so now I see the salary, the time page where the teacher user can enter his or her time in this form or in this section. The teacher has also access to the download salary slip section. So for each month they can download their respective salary slip, but this user will not have access to the salary section where the salary is set for a user or for an employee. So the teacher will not have an access to this section. If I log out and I log in again into the salary section with the clerk user, so he is assigned to set the salary for an employee, and with this one we have the salary info, and he is the one who sets the salary for an employee. And he has normally section, so as an employee he also have access to the time section, to the download salary slip section. So with this we have completed this application with the deployment into the Wildfly server and also authenticating it with the Keycloak login page. And with this thing I will finish this topic of the Wildfly here, and I will take the new topic of Tomcat. So we will see the same thing, how Keycloak works with a Java application that is deployed in a Tomcat container, and what are the settings required for this integration to work. So I'll close this part for now and I'll start with the Tomcat. So now we will start with the Tomcat application. So this is also a Java application made with the Maven web app plugin or the package, and this also has the same structure like the Wildfly application. So we have all the pages, the internal pages sorted out here, the public available pages, we have servlets over here defined, and in the web.xml file it's pretty much empty right now. So we will have to configure this file, and but first thing we will start with the Keycloak integration. So first thing first, we need a keycloak.json file. So I'll quickly create keycloak.json and we need to fill out this file. I will quickly create a new client. So I will not use school admin because this works on 8181, and I will not use the configuration of this client. Rather, I will create a separate client for our Tomcat application, and I will name it as school admin Tomcat. I will leave this as it is right now. So I want this to be a confidential client. A valid redirect URIs, I will again put it to star. Web origins also wildcat star. And yeah, this is pretty much it over here. So this one also should have all the roles that we saw. We will create this afterwards. So I need this part, and also I would require this. So back to here, and I will paste it over here. So we have the realm, this hi-fi code, our client ID, client secret, and we need one more setting for the resource mapping and not the real mapping, which was true. And I will quickly get it from the previous project. So it is use resource role mappings. Yeah, exactly this part. So this looks good. And now we will require the Tomcat container. So we will quickly go to the Tomcat website and download one container from there. So Apache Tomcat, I will go to the downloads and make sure that you download the Tomcat version 9, because right now we don't have any support for from the Keycloak adapter side, any support for the Tomcat 10, and it will not work if you use the Tomcat 10. So just make sure that you have the Tomcat 9. And I will quickly do the zip, and it might, yeah, so it's done. I will go to the folder and extract. Oh, it's already extracted. And then because we want to integrate with the Keycloak, so it's also a necessary step to download the Keycloak adapter for Tomcat, and you will find it here in the downloads, download tab, and the Tomcat adapter. So we don't have any 10 over here for Tomcat, so that's the reason we need to have Tomcat 9. And I will download the adapter. So once you come back here, I have the adapter and the Tomcat, and I'll quickly unzip the adapter over here. I'll get into the directory, I'll copy all the contents, and I need to paste this content in our Tomcat directory in the lib folder. So we will have all the dependencies in placed in with our Tomcat. So once this is done, we will quickly go back to the Eclipse, and one more thing that we need over here. So I'll go to the documentation, and it will be easier to show. So I'll go to the docs, securing application and services, OpenID Connect for Java adapters, and Tomcat. Yeah, here. So we need to place in our application this part, and this should go in the meta inf context.xml. So in our application, I will quickly, in the web app folder, I'll quickly create one folder and call it as meta-inf, and I create a new file and name it as context.xml. The contents, I will copy it from the website or from the docs that we have, and we might need to change the context path to our application name, which is int school. I'll save the file over here. Yes. And as I also said that we also need to change or configure the web.xml file. So we will quickly open this file, and we need to fill the security constraints over here. And for that, I will quickly refer to my GitHub repository code. So I'll go to the Tomcat section, web inf web.xml, and it is pretty much straightforward like the Wildfly application that we saw before, and it is having only one minor changes that I will just show you in a second. So I'll paste it, I'll save this file, and I will as you can see, we have the security constraints everywhere, like 3 security constraints, same as in the Wildfly application that we already saw. The only part changes over here is this login config. So in Wildfly application we had Keycloak as the auth method, and in this Tomcat we have basic, because Tomcat container, so the application deployed in Tomcat container knows that this is Keycloak using the meta information that we already have set up over here. So with this Valve Keycloak authenticator, so hence we don't have to add it in the in our web.xml file, and that is enough for the configuration. So I save this file. Now we will quickly add the Tomcat container to this Eclipse IDE. So I go here, I select the Tomcat 9 server. I'll make sure that I have the right Tomcat home. So I'll go and see, yes, it is the right one. I'll finish this, apply and close, next. And I want to deploy this application into the Tomcat, so I will add it over here. So I'll move from available to configured and finish. Once this is finished, I will see a server over here, and whenever there is this message republish, quickly right click and click on publish. So you should always see here synchronized. So once you have the synchronized message, so that means we can start our application or container. But before that, I would like to change the port of our Tomcat. So I will quickly open server.xml file, and below you will see this port 8080. So as you know that we already have Keycloak running on port 8080, and as I'm using the same machine, I have to change this port. So to avoid conflict, I change the port to 8082. I'll save it, and then so here it asks again for republish. So I'll quickly right click and publish it until I see the synchronized option, and now I can start my Tomcat container. So once it is started, I expect that my application, like how we saw with that Wildfly, is deployed inside the Tomcat container on port 8082, and it is having the login mechanism through Keycloak. So now it is up and running. So I'll quickly check from the browser. So let me refresh this page, and I see the page, okay, the application. I'll go to the public home, and this is the same type of the application that we also saw with the Wildfly. I'll try to go to the entry section, and it redirects me to the Keycloak login. So that means with Tomcat container, our application deployed in Tomcat container, it is redirecting to the Keycloak login page. That is, it is having the login mechanism through Keycloak. So all our configuration was successful. It is up, it is running. And one thing we need to make sure for our new application or for a new client, Keycloak, school admin Tomcat, we need to place the right roles over here. So right now we don't have any roles. I'll quickly jump back to the web.xml file where we can copy all the role name and create one over here. So time access, salary access, and the last one, download access. So now it is done, and we already have the users assigned this role, so we don't have to do it. We have to do it for our new application. So last time what we did was for the school admin. So all the users were assigned the roles in this application, but now we need to do it for our new application again. So this one is the admin user, and I will give all the roles to this user. So the next one is clerk, and the clerk will also have pretty much all the roles. So in the school admin he had all the roles, so it will be the same over here. And librarian, to the principal we will give all the roles. So the reasons are the same like we saw in the school admin app with Wildfly. And teacher will be treated as an employee over here. So in our new application they will have the access to the time page and to the download page, but not the salary page. And so I think we can use these users already. So I'll come back to our application, and I'll try to log in with the teacher user. when I log in, I see the user teacher and has access to the time section. So to the download salary slip section, they also have access to this page. But when I try to go to the salary section, I'll see the forbidden. That means they don't have access to change their salary or to change anything on this page or to access this resource. I'll go back, I'll log out, and I'll go to the salary section with the user who has access to this page, that is clerk user. And when I log in with the clerk user, I see the page for the salary section. That means we have integrated a Java application running in Tomcat, and we saw that the authentication and the authorization is working properly. So at this point, I will like to conclude this video, and I'll also give a short summary of what we covered in this video. So we first started to integrate our small Java application and we deployed it in the Wildfly server, and we saw the quick demo that with Wildfly server and the Java application, our application was secure by the Keycloak login and the authorization was successful or successfully tested. And then we quickly also deployed the same application in structure, and we deployed it on a Tomcat container, and we integrated that application also with the Keycloak login and successfully tested authentication and authorization part. So I will end this video here, and I hope this video was really helpful to the people interested in this topic. And if you really find this video helpful, then show your support by subscribing to my channel and liking and sharing the videos among your friends. So I hope I will see you in the next video. Till then, stay safe, stay blessed, and thank you all for your presence.